Testing. Should've got water. Okay, it is 5:30, so the Norfolk Public School District's Board of Education meeting is called to order. We'll begin with roll call.
Terry Bauer is out of town and has asked to be excused. Cindy Booth? Present. Brenda Carhart?
Present.
Lindsay Dixon?
Present.
Beth Shashikant?
Present.
Sandy Wolf?
Present.
We have 5 members present, so we do have a quorum.
Make a motion to excuse Terry Bauer from this meeting.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion by Brenda and a second by Beth. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. This is a legal meeting of the Board of Education as advertised by the means specified in board policy. A complete copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the boardroom for your review. A copy of the agenda is available at the desk of the recording secretary. Please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We are going to begin with public comments. This is the time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. According to state law, if you wish to comment, you must identify yourself, including your address, the name of the organization you represent, and the topic you wish to address. Public comment cards are located at the media table in the back of the room. Please pick up a card and provide required information if you plan to speak. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Individuals who make false, defamatory, or slanderous statements during public comments may be held legally liable. Slanderous comments are not protected just because they are made in board meetings. Would anybody like to speak?
Hi everybody, thanks for letting me talk. My name is Rich Riley from here in Norfolk, and I'd like to talk to you today about protecting our children. I have several articles that I would like, if somebody could, make copies of and pass around. They're all great articles for somebody to read. They all deal with the same thing, pretty much. They deal with the raping of our children, because school districts decide that the science was wrong, that biological boys could identify as a girl and use a girl's locker room or bathroom, and that biological boy ends up raping the girl that is innocently using those facilities. This is something that's really important, and it's various ages. The youngest one that I found was 5. Okay, 5 years old. So something to think about. But the message I get out of this is we need to protect those children, and we need to do something about it. We need to protect those parents who are depending on the school district, to make sure their kids are safe. I mean, I need to start teaching our kids the true science that there's only 2 sexes, boy and a girl. That's pretty simple to me. These articles are just, they make me cry, and I'm an adult male. And it just makes me sick to my stomach that school districts around the country are allowing this stuff to happen. And I know this isn't the first time that this has been talked about at this school district, but we're not very far from it happening here. That's all I can really say about it. I know the Kearney School Board had a very simple, whatever you want to call it, policy, thank you. And it makes it, just basically says, no boys and girls, no girls and boys. It makes no difference. It's very simple, and I just think we need to do something to protect the kids. I hope you guys all feel the same way. That's not the only thing, but that about sums mine up.
Thank you, Rich.
If you want to pass those
Dr.
around.
Thompson, would you like to respond?
Oh, Mr. Riley, have you personally seen any examples of Norfolk Public Schools teaching gender identity or sexual orientation in our curriculum? Have you personally witnessed any examples of Norfolk Public Schools teaching sexual identity or orientation in our curriculum and classrooms?
I don't dig that deep, but you don't want me to. Trust me,
Actually,
you don't.
I would welcome
Okay.
it because
All
we
right.
do not.
We will.
Our policy
Actually, you
indicates
guys
that-
do teach CRT, whether you think you do or not, and SEL, whether you think you do or not. It's very easily put into the curriculums, and I'm sure we can find it.
That was not the question, though. The question was about
all
sexual
the same thing.
orientation and gender identity, which our policy states that responsibility lies with the parents and the family. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name's Cammie Riley. I want to talk about the same thing. So I am asking for you guys to put a policy in place that restricts biological males from competing in sports with females and from also being allowed into female restrooms or locker rooms, and vice versa. Nebraska's LB 575, the Sports and Spaces Act, did not make it to the floor last session, which ended a few weeks ago. This means that Norfolk School needs to take preventative measures, okay? My husband just spoke. Nobody is accusing or saying, oh my gosh, we have a problem here. This is preventative. This is trying to stop something like that before it happens, because we've seen it happen in too many other places, sadly. So there's no reason that we should be an exception and not have it happen here. So let's take the preventative measures. The facts are, Biden administration is pushing for allowing trans people in sports that do not match their biological sex. Senator Kathleen Kauth from Nebraska Had the Sports and Spaces Act, LB 575, which would have only allowed people to compete in the sports of their biological sex, and also in the bathrooms and locker rooms. However, LB 575 did not make it out of committee. We also know that we don't know if it will make it to committee and to the floor for 24. We could be left with nothing. No way to protect those children. Another fact, schools in America have seen the assaults on females, on children, at the hands of biological boys that have been allowed into restrooms. We've seen biological males compete in female sporting events, take medals, take scholarships away from female athletes. We've also seen cases of biological females being injured during competitions when they're competing with biological males. These are all facts. I mean, nobody should be disputing that. If you read any of the news, these things are happening. I'm going to read, this is an article from Greg Brown from Kearney. He's a PhD. He's a professor in exercise science. In terms of sports performance, after the onset of puberty, boys and men swim and run 10 to 13% faster, jump 16 to 22% higher or farther, serve a volleyball 29 to 34% faster, and can lift 30 to 60% more weight than similarly aged, trained, and gifted girls and women. The differences in performance between males and females are so large that in a typical year, several hundred high school-aged boys run faster times than the current women's world records. All of these male athletic advantages can be explained by male anatomy and physiological, such as the larger hearts and lungs, more lean body mass, larger muscle cell, higher bone mineral density, and other sex-based differences that arise simply from being male. Some people argue that allowing trans women into women's sports is not a big deal because there are only a few trans women who are athletes. I would direct these people to the 2022 NCAA Division I Women's Swimming Championship, in which a single trans woman displaced at least 2 women from earning All-American status, won one national championship, and went home with a 5th place trophy after finishing in a tie with a female who was not even allowed to jointly hold the trophy for pictures, and displaced at least 2 other women by taking their places on the varsity squad of the school team. I would also direct these people to the 2020 Summer Games, in which a 43-year-old trans woman displaced a 23-year-old Indigenous female weightlifter for the opportunity to represent her country at the Olympic Games. I will hand out this to each one of you. I think we just need to be very aware of what's going on around us in our country and not think that this couldn't happen here. We need to protect the girls. We need to protect them physically from being abused by a boy that's stronger or being beat in a sport and where they have a chance of losing something, they've worked very hard for. So, thank you.
Thank you, Cammie. Dr. Thompson?
Yes, Cammie, I just want to clarify, you're not indicating that these issues are currently happening in Norfolk Public Schools, but you are requesting a policy to prevent these issues. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Chris Mueller, 2113 Norfolk Avenue. I'm a teacher at Norfolk High School. I'm here in support of Mr. Vergitz behind me. I've known Mr. Vergitz for, about 20 years? Close to 20 years. When I was coaching basketball, I was a reserve coach. He was on my team, and Mr. Vergitz at that time was a leader. He was very empathetic. He had a lot of respect for his teammates. He was very patient, and as I've seen him grow into the role of an administrator here in the Norfolk Public School System, he has carried a lot of those same characteristics and traits that I've seen when he was a young man into an adult. Now, I've got to work with him because he was, a few years ago, was the activities director at the junior high, and I am the junior high cross-country coach. And I've always admired his compassion, how much he respects, how much he tries to work with all kids. Now, I have examples of this when they give out a grade report, 4 weeks into our season, 3 weeks into our season, and those kids, and we're in cross country, so we don't have very many kids that have bad grades. But every once in a while we'd have a couple that, if they had 2 down grades, couldn't compete. And a lot of times that was until the next grading period, which basically was in another 3-4 weeks. Your season's pretty much done in junior high cross country. What Mr. Vergitz has done, he would go in there and he'd say, okay, let's pull these kids in and let's help them to get their grades up. Let's talk to them, and if they can get their grades back up, then they can, and they've shown they've made progress toward doing that, they can compete. Now, the competition part's not the important part. The thing is, he is willing to pull those young people in and talk to them and develop a plan for them to where they can get their grades back on track. He would talk to them, build a rapport with them, and I just thought that was incredible. We'd never had that happen before. Usually, like I said, they were done. He wanted to help those kids to make them better so they can get their grades up, put the kids' best interest first, and get them back on the right track. And I've seen, now that I shouldn't say he's not the AD anymore, he's the assistant principal there, and I get a chance to go down there every once in a while, and he'll be working lunch duty. He's talking to the kids. He's, again, developing relationships with those kids, being very positive with them. And I just think to have his name slandered is irreprehensible, okay? Because he's a good man. He's a very fine human being, a very fine individual. He's a positive for this school system. And he got an award a couple of weeks ago, which I think, to be honest with you, there's nobody more deserving than that. He has my utmost respect. He's someone that I try as hard as I can to be like. And I think you can talk to a bunch of the students at the junior high and stuff, and they would say, he does wonderful things for them. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I'm Alicia Masqua. I am a teacher at the senior high. I don't live in Norfolk, but I do teach here. I'm the president of the Norfolk City Education Association. So I am speaking in support of our Norfolk Public School teachers and the Norfolk City Education Association. As educators, we are called to this profession by a singular purpose, an unwavering and unequivocal commitment to our students' learning, well-being, and potential. Parents and teachers understand the biggest challenges facing students in our public schools are getting students the one-on-one support they need, addressing educator shortages, and ensuring students have access to the mental health services they need. Sadly, rather than working to strengthen our public schools or helping educators and parents get our students the support they need, a few folks have now taken to attacking our educators, their professionalism, and their professional association, the Norfolk City Education Association. Some are attempting to bring political culture wars into our schools and drive a wedge between parents and educators. Students, parents, and educators deserve better. They need partners, not partisans. They need solutions, not strife. Fortunately, in Norfolk, parents and educators are united and working together to support our public schools and create opportunities for all students. Our students deserve the opportunity to learn accurate, age-appropriate lessons. Parental involvement in education is key to a child's success. Educators and their professional associations know, appreciate, and promote such involvement. We do not believe the recent attacks on our schools and teachers and professional associations are accurate or fair, and we stand with our Norfolk Public School teachers and staff in support of our work on behalf of the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Questions, Dr. Thompson?
Alicia, would you say that most teachers welcome parental involvement and that a strong parent-teacher relationship is important to?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mueller, but made me cry before I come up and speak, so appreciate that. Good evening. My name is Bo Vergitz, and I'm the assistant principal at the junior high. I'm here to address the baseless and false claims made by Mr. Harry Whitaker about me during the parental involvement hearing at last month's Board of Education meeting. First, I cannot comment on any specific accusations Mr. Whitaker made in regards to his son, behavior, requests for records, etc. That information is confidential, and I'm not at liberty to discuss that in public or with anyone else but Mr. Whitaker. However, I would like to address the completely false, dangerous, and reckless accusations Mr. Whitaker made about me supposedly attempting to groom his daughter with chips. These are very serious and criminal accusations made, and my side of the story needs to be heard. Before we go further, let me explain the positive behavior system at the junior high. Each year, the junior high administration sends certified and classified staff a Google form. Whenever staff members see students displaying positive behavior, they may fill out a referral. Administration calls the student to the office, oftentimes individually due to time constraints and day-to-day processes, and notifies them of the referral. There is a snack cart with granola bars, fruit snacks, chips, etc., that students are welcome to take as a token of our appreciation for their good behavior, but they are not obligated to do so. Administration also lets the student know their name will be entered into a random gift card drawing to Raising Cane's. 3 students are selected randomly each month who earn a positive referral. Finally, the administration calls or emails a parent to share the positive referral and the comments with them as well. I can't tell you how many times that I've had a parent say that has made their day, that phone call or email has. The positive behavior system is not unique to the junior high. Our elementaries, middle school, and high school have a similar system in place as well. Rest assured, this is not an attempt or a ploy to groom any student. Rather, it is a system to encourage and promote positive behavior within our students. Last year at the junior high, our students and staff members earned 285 positive behavior referrals. This is something to be celebrated, not ridiculed. Do I build positive relationships with students? Absolutely, and I'm proud to say that, because research shows that students who connect positively with students have a greater chance of success. I have one fan here at least. After all, isn't that what education is about? Helping students succeed both inside and outside our walls. I am saddened that Mr. Whitaker chose to use a public forum to make his false claims instead of following the proper chain of command. To be very clear, I do not have any personal cell phone numbers, personal emails, or other forms of communication with any NPS student, as Mr. Whitaker carelessly suggested. I have not texted his daughter or any NPS student at any point in time during my time at NPS. Mr. Whitaker stated last month he had recordings but would not play them for the board at the time. He cannot play with the recordings because he has no recordings. He has no other evidence to suggest that I am attempting to groom his daughter. If he did, why wouldn't he go to law enforcement, file a report? If he did, I would no longer be employed at NPS. If he did, my career, my personal life would be in complete shambles. As a proud father and husband, father of 2 children, one an 11-year-old daughter, why in the world would I resort to grooming children? Why would I put my personal and professional life at risk trying to groom children? I understand there are educators out there with poor ethics and poor moral, but I'm not one of them. In conclusion, I caution my fellow parents and community members to repeat Mr. Whitaker's actions. I encourage parents to work together with the school to resolve conflict instead of coming to a public meeting making false and ridiculous claims with no evidence and embarrassing yourself as Mr. Whitaker did last month. I encourage the silent majority who support our public schools to stand up, put their foot down, and drown out the noise from the naysayers who want to tear us down. Do not tolerate and allow the naysayers to bring our public school and potentially drive educators and families from our community and our district. I'd like to close by reading a quote that I saw just last night from Taylor Lautner, Team Jacob from Twilight. At 31 years old, he has been getting bashed on social media for supposedly aging poorly. Some of the quotes pertain to my fellow colleagues, while the other parts pertains to the naysayers. Taylor says, and I quote, "You find value where you put it, and if you put your value in what other people think of you, that is how you will feel. But if you put value in knowing who you are, what's important to you, what you love, that kind of stuff won't get to you. The biggest point is just think about and remember where you put your value in life. Also, just be nice. It's not that difficult. Let's be nice to each other. Let's spread love and possibility. It's that simple." Thank you.
Thank you, Bo.
Mr. Vergitz? You recently received an award from the Nebraska State Association of Secondary School Principals for your commitment to education and your service to students, parents, teachers, staff, and community. What was the name of that award?
The Assistant Principal of the Year Award.
Congratulations. Your commitment and service is appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak? Okay, thank you. That will close the public comments. We are going to start on information and discussion items. So if you so feel like you need to leave, now's the time to scoot. 5.1, Finance and Facilities Report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. The total amount of claims to be approved on the consent agenda for the month of June by fund are listed below. The total amount of claims for the month of May for the activities fund is listed as well. We reviewed all these claims earlier today within our Finance and Facility Committee. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. 5.2, Teaching and Learning Report. Mrs. Nelson.
Thank you, Madam President. We had a successful ending to the school year, and summer school is on its way. Summer school serves multiple purposes for our students. Some students are invited to summer school to maintain good learning habits and minimize summer learning loss. We also have students that need summer school to catch them up where they need to be before the fall. And yet, we have students that choose summer school to advance their studies to allow extra time in their senior high course schedule for specialty classes. Spring statewide testing scores are under review and validation, which means there are phases of cross-referencing for accuracy that occur before final and official scores and classifications are determined for AQuest. Last week, we hosted a board retreat. Our goal was to update and/or inform board members on details related to teaching and learning, particularly in the targeted instruction and grading. You will notice that we still have posters hanging as well as information and articles available for people to look at. If there is anything folks would like a copy of, I ask them to place their name and address on a sticky note and place it on the item that they would like a copy. We will do our best to get it mailed to them as soon as possible. I have also left some of my business cards if anyone would like to contact me and have deeper discussions on the curriculum or anything else related to our targeted instruction and grading. It's very easy to get in touch with me, and I can be flexible about a meeting time. In our time together last week, we felt it was important to bring some clarity and explanation surrounding targeted teaching and grading. During the board forum for school board candidacy, target-based grading was communicated as something negative and connected to controversial instructional topics. This is simply not true. Target-based grading is simple reorganization of the gradebook to be more focused and categorized to monitor student strengths and weaknesses. This allows both students and teachers to target learning to best help the individual student. Target-based grading has nothing to do with the materials purchased or the topics taught in class. Furthermore, the books or materials used in the classroom are not the curriculum. They are used to teach the curriculum. The curriculum is written to meet state standards and involves several steps. Like I said, If anyone would like some clarity about separation and/or the connection of any of these topics, please contact me.
Beth, when will we get the statewide testing scores?
Yeah. The official ones don't come out until the fall when they do AQuest classifications. Right now, we can only look at some preliminary individual information. I can't tell you as a whole, like how did fourth graders do or how did fifth graders do. Also, at the state level, they're doing some cut score realignment. So what that means is if a student scored at a certain level and the cut score is lower, then maybe their designation is higher at this point. So I would say early fall. That's the simple answer to your question, early fall. Any other questions?
Thank you, Beth, to you and your team. I thought the retreat was really informational and good. Thanks.
Good.
5.3 is the annual Americanism report. Mrs. Nelson.
Thank you. Annually, we do this report, as well as the next one that you'll hear, in compliance with the Nebraska State School Law LB 399, the American Civics Bill. All building Americanism compliance reports have been submitted to the Director of Teaching and Learning. Teacher reports have been submitted to building administrators on American civics and are filed within the building for review as needed. Compliance reports confirm that building's social studies curriculum stresses the required patriotic themes. Above curriculum requirements, buildings have conducted appropriate patriotic exercises for the following observations, as well as a senior high required American civics assignment. Those include George Washington's birthday, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Native American Heritage Day, Constitution Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and Thanksgiving Day. Any questions about that?
Thank you, Beth. How about the annual multicultural report?
Okay, similarly so, this is also a requirement by the State Board of Education Rule 10 and LB 79-719. This has been like this for over 20 years, and it's reported very similar every year. So it's kind of just a routine report. The philosophy of multicultural education program is that students have improved ability to function as productive members of society when provided with an understanding of diverse cultures and races. The manner in which they exist of diverse cultures and races have affected the history of our nation and the world, and of the contributions made by diverse cultures and races. The ability and skills to be sensitive toward and to study, work, and live successfully with persons of diverse cultures and races. The mission of the multicultural education program is to prepare students to value and respect their own culture and race and cultures and races other than those of their own, and preparing students to eliminate stereotypes and discrimination or harassment based on ethnicity, religion, gender, socioeconomic status, age, or disability. The total lessons that were reported across all buildings district-wide are listed below. Do you have any questions about that?
Are these for all classes or just social studies and history?
It could be in any course. Particularly when you are in elementary, you have a lot of cross-curricular items going on. So you might have a social studies related or a culture related lesson in a reading. It happens like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Beth. Okay, we are to the student services report, student programs report. Mrs. Lohr.
Thank you, Madam President. Summer school is being held from June 5th to June 23rd. The following schools host special education classes: Westside and Jefferson Elementary for K-4 students, the middle school for the 5-8 students, and the senior high for our 9-12 students.
How many people do we have in the special education classes this summer? Do you have a rough estimate, or?
I do. I think I have less than 15 in resource. I have about 16 students at the elementary level in our life program. Middle school is about 6. That's 5-8. And then the high school has, I want to say 10 kids that are attending for summer school. So summer school is basically, we do more enrichment activities, keeping them, giving them opportunities to be a part of the community, do different, not strictly curricular, or working towards their IEP goals. It's more of an enrichment summer school program. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mary. Student Services Report, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. And guess what? Summer school has been up and running for about a week now. We will officially end on June 23rd. Our summer AFS graduation ceremony will be held at 6 p.m. on June 22nd at the senior high. I put main gym, but I'm pretty sure it's at the Johnny Carr, so I apologize. Summer is typically a time when we try to get a lot of our technology projects completed as well. Our team has been busy working in the buildings and scheduling new installations for smart boards, wireless access points, security cameras, and updates to our switches. Projects are moving along nicely and should be completed by the end of July, so that we are ready for the start of the new school year. And you will continue to see handbooks on the agenda tonight as well as next month as we finalize those for the start of the next school year as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Human Resources and Accreditation Report, Mrs. Baumann.
Thank you, Madam President. On Monday, June 19th, Norfolk Public Schools will host a job fair for classified staff here at Central Office from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. Building principals will be available to talk with job seekers about available positions. Currently, we are looking to hire a variety of paraprofessionals, including classroom, special education, ELL, Achievement Center, AFS, and media. In addition, we are seeking applications for custodians and substitute paraprofessionals. There are positions available at all levels, PK-12, and candidates can learn more about our available positions and complete applications on site. I encourage you and ask you to please spread the word about the NPS job fair.
How many certified positions do we have open yet to fill?
Well, I knew you were going to ask that. I actually have it pulled up. We have, of ones we are hopeful to fill, 1, 2, 3. There are some that I think, like a district behavior specialist, we've been advertising that since the fall. So, some that we may not get filled, but I think we have 3 more we're still hopeful to fill.
Thanks, Angie. We are to the superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I have several topics for you this evening, starting with board retreats. I want to thank all of you for attending our board retreat on target-based grading last week. If you have any additional questions on the topic, please let Beth Nelson know. We want to make sure that you are well informed on the topic. Our second board retreat is scheduled for 10 a.m. on August 24th. The purpose of this board retreat will be to establish functional board relations through role clarification and the setting of common expectations. Next is our administrative retreat. Each summer, we host a series of administrator retreats to share information with principals and sharpen our leadership skills. This year, we were fortunate to collaborate with the ESU, Educational Service Unit, and UNK, University of Nebraska-Kearney, to provide high-quality leadership training via Cy Wakeman and professors from UNK's Educational Administration Department. Some of the topics included establishing climate and culture, conflict management, communication strategies, problem solving, and change leadership. Administrators will participate in additional training this summer regarding MTSS, PBIS, and a plethora of legal updates. Speaking of legal updates, several changes will need to be made to our board policies based upon the recent legislative session. I was going to say once we receive the updated policy suggestions from Perry Law Firm, but I actually got those today, so I am in the process of reviewing them. Once I have reviewed them, we will schedule a policy committee meeting to begin that process. I expect that to happen within the next couple of weeks now that I have them. I would also like to clarify a statement made last month regarding senior high facilities. It appears that some of our stakeholders misunderstood my enrollment report last month. At this point, we are simply contacting RSP and Associates to complete comprehensive enrollment projections. Once those projections have been completed, we will need to determine whether additional space is needed at the senior high. If additional space is needed due to enrollment, then we will begin community conversations regarding facility additions and a possible bond. However, at this point, it is unknown whether that will be necessary. And finally, I just want to remind everyone that we are celebrating the 100th year anniversary of the junior high this Saturday, June 17th. Current and past staff and dignitaries will have a tour at 1 o'clock, and the building will be open from 2 to 4 for the community. We hope to see lots of people there.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Okay, we're to committee reports. 6.1 is the Facilities and Finance Report. Brenda Carhart.
The committee met at 12 today. The claims for the month of June and activity claims for May were reviewed. Other items reviewed and discussed: the recommendation for the motor coach bus service for 23-24, which we'll talk about later tonight. Review of items for district wishes to sell at our maintenance and technology garage sale. Athletic training services for 23-24. And then we got project updates on Bel Air and also junior high. And then just talked about the timeline and the process for the budget for next year, 23-24. The next meeting will be July 10th at noon again. Any questions?
Thanks, Brenda. 6.2 Policy Committee Report. Lindsay Dixon.
The Policy Committee reviewed the feedback provided during the parental involvement hearing and noted the following. The administration is responding to parents who spoke at the parental involvement hearing regarding concerns specific to their children. Those concerns did not necessarily relate to the parental involvement policy per se, but they did warrant administrative follow-through. We do allow parents to visit their children's schools with advance notice, unless it will cause an interference or disrupt the learning environment. Please see policy 1010. When many people refer to curriculum, they are actually referencing our program materials, textbooks, and assignments. It is not possible for us to provide online access to these materials due to copyright laws, but parents can get access to those materials via their building principals or Beth Nelson. We are investigating ways that we could provide greater access to our curriculum, the standards and content, the way we content with that we teach, but this is difficult due to website and staffing limitations. In the meantime, parents can contact Beth Nelson for access to our curriculum. Parents can request that their child be excluded from a specific unit, book, or assignment if they find it objectionable. In that case, the student will be provided with an alternative assignment. Please see Board Policy 6320. We updated our library materials selection process in March of 2022. It is very robust. However, if a parent objects to a specific book, he or she may contact the building principal. If the building principal is unable to resolve the matter, a formal written complaint may be filed, which will trigger a formal review process. See Board Policy 6300. We do allow parents to review their children's records. Please see Board Policy 5202.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
6.3 Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Report. Brenda Carhart.
The Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Board met on May 15th at 4:30. 14 board members were present. which I think was everybody, so that was great that we had everybody there. Austin Truex, the new executive director, shared with the board that he and President Metka Combe will be presenting at Honors Night on May 18th to award 64 foundation scholarships worth over $77,000 to the graduating class. The foundation also received 43 classroom grant applications from the staff that have been evaluated. The foundation selection committee for grants will meet immediately following the board meeting, so they met on May 15th for final selection. The committee will award over $20,000 in grants to teachers for the 23-24 school year. The recipients will be notified in June if they have been selected, meaning the teachers and their classes. Any questions?
Thank you, Brenda. We are to the consent agenda items. So 7.1 is the minutes of the previous meetings, and they are attached. 7.2 is personnel, and we do have a couple of contracts. Dr. Thompson?
Yes, we have 3 contracts for your consideration this evening. Ashley Moret, 5th grade math and English language arts teacher for the middle school. She was a full-time substitute teacher for us from 2020 to 2023. So we fill a position, but we vacate another one. Tiffany Palm, special education teacher at Norfolk Senior High School. She is a special education paraprofessional at Norfolk Public Schools and has a degree, so she can be a teacher. Alana Binder, business computer science teacher, Norfolk Senior High. She has been a behavior special education teacher in Yankton.
And we have no resignations. Claims, Dr. Robinson?
Yes, attached are the claims for the month of June. As stated before, these were reviewed earlier by our Finance and Facility Committee. I want to point out claims number 1077 and 1078, which are highlighted, are not to be included with the other claims for approval on this consent agenda. This claim numbers are specific to a later action item, and if that action item is approved, then claim numbers 1077 and 1078 will be approved as part of that action.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Beth and a second by Lindsay. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. That brings us to our action items. 8.1 is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the Little Panthers Preschool Handbook for 23-24. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate all the time that the board members put into looking through these. I'm sure that was a whole lot of fun. And I do appreciate the comments that I received and the recommendations for changes. All of those have been done. You guys had these for weeks prior, so if there was any other questions, I hope you would have emailed me. So I'm just asking for approval tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the Little Panthers Preschool Handbook.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Cindy. Linda, is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. 8.2 is the Elementary Student Handbook for 23-24. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you again, Madam President. And again, just like the Little Panthers Handbook, if there was any questions, you guys emailed me. I addressed those, so asking for approval of this one so we can get these to the printer.
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 Elementary Student Handbook.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Lindsay, a second by Beth. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. And we have the 23-24 Certified Staff Handbook. Angie Bauman.
Thank you also for all of your reading. I have 3 handbooks on the agenda tonight, but the certified handbook, the only substantial change in the handbook was adding the biometric terminal, which is the time clock, which is added to all of the handbooks, which that is not new to us. It was a separate sign kind of a sign off with our staff. So now it's just in the handbook and one less additional piece because they also sign off on the handbook. So if no, I did not receive any suggested changes, so I'm just asking for approval tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 certified staff handbook.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Lindsay and a second by Cindy. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. 8.4 is the 23-24 classified staff handbook. Angie Bauman.
Thank you. The classified staff handbook, the only substantial change is the same with the time clock. And I did not receive any requests for changes, so seeking approval.
Make a motion to approve the 2023-24 classified staff handbook.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Brenda and a second by Beth. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. We are making this look really easy, but there was a lot of reading in the background. So we're just like, you're like, what? What? No. Okay, and we have the 23-24 substitute staff handbook. Angie Bauman.
Thank you, and this is my final handbook of the summer. I think Mr. Wilson might have a couple more coming yet, but there were no substantial changes to this handbook, only some dates and payroll information updated in this handbook.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-24 substitute staff handbook. I'll second that motion.
We have a second by Cindy. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. Okay, now we are to the 8.6, which is the transportation services contract. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. I recommend approving a one-year agreement with Arrow for activity transportation that is 70 miles or more in distance for all activities PK-12. 3 RFPs were requested, and Arrow provided the best qualifying proposal for upcoming activity transportation needs. The district will evaluate next spring if we want to continue with a contracted service beyond the 23-24 school year. And we have put a lot of work in vetting this out, so I feel really good about this recommendation.
I make a motion to approve the transportation service contract with Arrow.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Lindsay and a second by Beth. Discussion. I think this is a wonderful compromise. We spent a lot of time on the buses, talked about a lot of money, and I think this is just an outstanding way that we were all able to get together and everybody got a little bit of what they wanted and made it really good for our stakeholders in our community as well as our students and our coaches.
I just think that with my conversation, I had a lot of conversation with the bus services and with Arrow, and I just feel really good about the safety that we're going to be allowing for our students to have when they go on those longer trips, that we won't have to worry about their bus breaking down and they'll be very safe. That's what our concern is, I think. So I'm very happy with it.
Okay, so please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. 8.7, discuss, consider, and take action to sell used maintenance and technology items. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. According to board policy 3090 in Nebraska Revised Statute at 79-10, any sale of school property is contingent upon by the approval by the vote of at least 2/3 of members of the Board of Education. We do have a mixture of items stored at the maintenance building that we no longer use, as well as some outdated technology items. Most of these are some iPads this year that we would like to sell via a garage sale this summer. An official date has not been set, but once one is set, this will be communicated to the community. And believe me, these items are just simply items we can't use anymore. A lot of times when people look at them at a garage sale scenario, maybe they're looking at the scrap metal value of it, or they can maybe piece it with something else, but you know, if we can continue to repair it or use it, we're gonna do that. But these are those things, and we become a little bit of hoarders down there then too. And we need to kind of try to limit that as well. Now, the proceeds of that will come back to the district. We deposit that back, if it's maintenance items, back to the maintenance department for future technology, goes back to technology. So that's how that works.
Past, have you had good luck with these garage sales?
Very good luck. I'm shocked at some of the items that sell. And once in a while, I think that will fly off the shelf early and then it just sits there. But that sold? Okay. You know, it's like when you have your own garage sale. You just never know. But they've been very popular. Yeah.
Yeah, iPads go really quick. For us, we can't use them because they won't update no more, but a lot of families still use them, so.
Don't you have to stand in line to get in?
Well, when there's a lot of technology, especially. This year, we'll see. Yeah. But it's kind of like when you have your own yard sale. There's people that scout it out ahead of time. And
Like what's left over, what do we do with it then? Can
Well-
we turn it in for scrap?
yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, yeah. At that point, we're like, okay, it's going to go salvage. We can get some scrap value, that kind of stuff. We don't just put it back into the hoard.
If there's absolutely no value and can't be scrapped, then we will dispose of it.
One that you have to be there, it's not, nothing's online, or you can't do any bidding online, is that correct?
This is old school sale. Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to sell our used maintenance and technology items at a garage sale.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Brenda. Is there any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. We are to 8.8, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the second and final reading of several board policies. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. The Policy Committee reviewed the feedback provided by parents and community members during the parental involvement hearing, but did not see a need for any changes to that policy or any of the other policies contained within this section. These policies will be reviewed again next year as required via state statutes.
Make a motion to approve the policies as presented.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Brenda and a second by Beth. Shame on me, I should say what they are. Board Policy 5008, Student Attendance, 5414, Anti-Bullying, 5417, School Wellness, 6370, Multicultural Education, 6400, Parent Community Involvement in Schools, and 6410, Title I, Parent and Family Engagement. Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. We are now going to go into executive session to discuss the potential purchase of property as needed to protect the interest of the district. We will probably come out and make a decision, but you don't have to stay if you don't want. You're welcome to leave or stay, whichever you'd like. It shouldn't be very long, except for you guys. I think you have to stay. We need a motion.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Motion by Brenda and a second by Lindsay. Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thanks, Callan. Yeah, we don't need our computers in there. But Okay, we will now reconvene meeting from executive session at 6:35. We are to 10, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the purchase of property. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. We are recommending the purchase of properties at 405 and 407 Walnut Avenue to be used for additional parking at the senior high school. We currently have 473 parking spots at the senior high and approximately 1,350 students. Not all of our students drive, but that is a significant discrepancy, and it is an issue that we hear about quite frequently. Approval of this agenda item would also approve claim numbers 1077 and 1078. The cost of the property, I didn't list that in there, is $130,000. Those claims were held out of the consent agenda earlier, as board approval is required before we could purchase property. If you approve this item, then those claims will also be approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 405 and 407 Walnut Avenue for the price of $130,000 total. That's for both properties.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Brenda and a second by Beth. Is there any discussion?
If I understand this right, then it'll probably approximately another $10,000 in expenses to remove the house, to take the house.
That'd be pretty close.
Okay.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Callan. The second monthly meeting of the Board of Education has been scheduled for noon on Thursday, June 22nd. Do we need that meeting?
Hopefully Angie will have 3 hires for us by then.
Okay, Angie, there you go. Challenge.
You're welcome.
The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, July 10th, 2023. There will be no study session. The regular business meeting will start at 5:30, just like tonight. All components of these meetings will be held at the Norfolk Public Schools Central Administration Offices and will be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of an individual. Thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.